Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We're pleased to get started with today's program. My name is Brian Amcrott. I'm the Vice President for Workforce Credentialing and Community Impact here at Mercy College. And our division runs the CERTIFi by Mercy College Workforce Credentialing Program. We are pleased to be offering, to be running this session today, where you'll have the opportunity to learn about the Certified Diversity Professional and Certified Diversity Executive training program that we're offering in conjunction with the Society for Diversity, and you'll be hearing from their leadership in just a minute. I wanted just to take this opportunity to tell you about our program. CERTIFi is the extension arm of Mercy College. We offer alternative credentialing, micro-credentialing programs, and pathways to degree programs for non-traditional students. It is our belief at Mercy, first of all, that you're never too old to learn, so our programs are offered to students of all ages. And we recognize the fact that in today's economy, jobs are constantly shifting. The skills you need at your fingertips to remain competitive are constantly shifting. And we truly embrace the notion of lifelong learning. Just one traditional training program, even if it's a full degree program and even a graduate degree program, is probably not enough to get you through the many changes in your career that you'll encounter throughout your lifetime. So we've amassed really a broad range of training opportunities, running the gamut of the entire scope of industries that we work with. And today's focus, obviously, is going to be on the diversity, equity, and inclusion sector, which is critical to success in today's economy. Before I introduce our speakers for today, I really want to make it clear that that we embrace the notion and the value of the diversity, of the importance of diversity in the workforce, not simply as an end in of itself, but that it's good business, and that exposing your business, your industry, to the broadest amount of talent out there as possible can only result in better outcomes for your enterprise. So we're really thrilled to have with us today a couple of the leading voices from the Society for Diversity. And first up, I'm going to do some very brief introductions, then I'm going to turn the virtual podium over to our speakers, Leah, Smiley, and Taheti Watson. But let me tell you a little bit about them. Leah Smiley is the president of the Society for Diversity. This is a global education technology firm specializing in next-gen management practices and professional diversity, equity, and inclusion certification. They were recognized on the 2022 and 2023 Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing companies in the Midwest. With more than 15 years in DEI and 25 plus as a master of training and organizational development, Leah is a DEI thought leader. Globally, she has presented to over 10,000 professionals and executives and consulted with over 100 organizations. And we're so pleased that she's going to join us today. The co-presenter along with Leah is Taheti Watson. She's passionate about enriching the lives of all people. For 15 years, she specialized in employee engagement, leadership development, and inclusive conversations. She believes DEI strategies must be integrated throughout an organization and advocates to change health inequities impacting communities. She co-chairs the Best Practice Committee for the National Association for Children's Behavioral Health and facilitates IDC certification courses and bold and inclusive conversations. She is a senior professional human resources, certified senior professional in human resources, certified diversity executive, and she coaches for Gallup, Strengths, and Myers-Briggs and is working towards ICF Associate Coach certification. Following the presentation from Leah and Taheti, we'll have an opportunity for some Q&A. So please, if you've got questions, put them into the chat or into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And I look forward to a stimulating conversation with our speakers when they conclude their presentation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brian. I am Leah Smiley, and I am so excited to be here. If you can, please drop in the chat where you are, what organization you're with, as well as what city and state you are in. But certainly, I am here to talk to you about the DEI certification program that will be offered through Mercy College. The question that we have is, why should you enter into this field now, right? What makes this this field so special, or this program so special, that you would enter it now with all of the backlash that is going on and the social reckoning that is occurring in the media as well as in the workplace? Well, number one, I think that the backlash is necessary. And that's because it is weeding out a whole lot of folks that may not be equipped to do this work on a professional level. And I'm going to explain why I say that. The second thing is DEI is a global phenomenon. And certainly we don't want people defining our work for us. DEI is full of laws, regulations, as well as demographic change. And specifically, you'll have to provide insight into those demographic changes in order for you to be effective as a diversity, equity, and inclusion leader. This industry is the future. And certainly the technology industry is also the future. We are in what we call a knowledge plus experience economy. And that means that you have to have both, right? And be able to provide insight into people's experiences, which is where you come in and providing demographic information. Certainly, we all know that the IT industry is considered to be the future of the workplace, the future of business. And there were layoffs in that industry as well, just as there are layoffs in the DEI space. But it highlights the fact that everyone can't do this work. So we've seen a variety of different reactions where you see folks that are too far to the left, and they're like, okay, we're only going to do this work for one or two identity groups, and there's extreme backlash. And then you see the other extreme to the right, where you had the chief diversity officer for the state of Virginia who said DEI is dead, but yet he's a chief diversity officer, right? He also experienced extreme backlash. The truth is, this industry has been around for 40 years. And it is projected to be a $13.1 billion industry in the US alone. And certainly people who work in this industry are generally highly compensated, just like IT workers, right? If you are a chief diversity officer, you can get paid up to $400,000 a year plus bonus. If you're a manager, depending on the type of organization you may work in, it may pay anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000. If you are a director, it can pay in the hundreds of thousands, maybe 100, 200,000, depending on the type of organization. And certainly, this work, again, is global, and it will continue to be a global industry. However, you need skills, best practices, data, trends, terms. You need to know the situations and scenarios that you will face. You have to be able to understand the difference between activity and impact, and you have to know how to measure your work. These are all the things, next slide. These are all the things that the certification program will teach you. And that is why we offer two tracks. One is a track for professionals where you will do the day-to-day work, and certainly you can have an HR background or a diversity, equity, and inclusion background and hope to go into perhaps a professional role such as a manager or a director. But certainly there is also the executive track, which is designed for individuals who are going to be working in this space, and they will be in a senior management role, perhaps seeking a chief diversity officer position and or serving as a senior manager at an organization. Both tracks have two components, and that is a standardized knowledge exam and a review of a professional work. But generally, next slide, you will be prepared for the future of this work. Now, there's a difference between a certificate program and a certification. There are a lot of organizations that say, hey, we offer DEI certification, and they do not. So a certificate program affirms that you have taken a class and that that class is certainly instructed by someone, anyone for that matter. You don't know if they're an expert. You don't know how they develop their curriculum. You don't know anything about the program, right? You don't even know how often the program is updated. There is a value for certificate programs. However, certification is different. So certification exists for a lot of different professions, such as the IT industry, human resources, finance, legal. There are all sorts of different certifications, professional certifications, and we use a research-based methodology. And with a real certification program, it will be marked by one, an exam, and in this case, there is a standardized exam. But then the second thing is the requirement that you have continuing education units or CEUs. And as a lifelong learner, you will have a variety of different ways to stay abreast of the latest and greatest in this DEI space that is ever changing. So our research-based methodology is required for organizations that provide professional certification. So for those of you who have taken the SHRM exam or other certification programs, our program is offered and designed in the same way. We conducted a pilot with over 635 candidates in 9 countries. However, the CDP and CDE credentialing program has candidates in 30+ countries all around the world, and it is industry recognized as being the standard of inclusive excellence. Next slide. Now, within the Certified Diversity Professional and Certified Diversity Executive programs, you will have domains and competencies, skills mastery, and performance indicators. Next slide. The skills mastery indicates that you have knowledge, facts, skills, information that is acquired through experience and education. We'll help you to put all that stuff together so that you can provide a proper analysis, which will ultimately help your organization to derive insights. Whether or not you are an employee or a consultant, you want to be able to provide insight into problems, trends, best practices, results, and projected outcomes, not just presenting numbers like people used to with affirmative action, but you want to provide that detailed examination of the elements or structure relating to culture, DEI, management, access, etc. And then you also want to be able to demonstrate that you have the ability to apply and evaluate the work that you were doing. Next slide. Our focus is on helping you to demonstrate knowledge, skills, and application. On average, it takes about 10 years to get great outcomes without certification because you're learning by trial and error. With certification, that time frame is cut down immensely because you can expect to see an impact within 1 to 2 years. And this is one of the benefits of you knowing how to do a business case for diversity. Certainly, some people can Google search it and then figure out on their own, oops, that shouldn't be the way that I do this. Or you can just go into the job and know specifically what to do. Next slide. So each candidate's journey is going to be different. Certainly from promotions to gaining more credibility to introducing new programs, we help to make a difference in the lives of CDP and CDE designees and the organizations for which they work. Certainly over 2/3 of our designees experience more support after earning professional credentials. Next slide. So we offer advanced technology, as well as a study guide and all sorts of other resources and professional support. So a lot of organizations, when you go through their certificate programs, they kind of get your money, and then after that, it's bye-bye. One of the benefits to working with us is that we specifically work with you. We want to know what your goals are. We want to make it so that you are on that path to achieving your goals. You can actually call us and talk to a real life person when you need assistance. That is something that no other certificate program offers, right? And that's why a lot of people will go through those other programs and then come through ours. You don't have to do that. You can just go through the Mercy College program and call it a day. I mean, you can save yourself money and time because classes start on June 5th and June 6th. And certainly you can have that specialized learning experience as well as connect to a huge social network where you can engage in social learning and gain additional experience about best practices and strategies that work. Next slide. Mercy College offers flexibility and a viable career path for lifelong learners just like you. You can choose to make an impact. Again, this field is the future. And everything that we do prepares you to operate according to the next generation workplace and marketplace. Certainly, our goal is to ensure that you are successful. And not only can you redefine DEI, but you can include different perspectives and use your work as a model in your industry. Certainly, this allows you to make an impact and to make more progress now. Next slide. If you have any questions about the process, please feel free to use the chat feature. And at this time, I'm going to introduce the instructor for this session, which will be Taheti Watson, who will be facilitating the classes.
Thank you, Leah. So I won't spend too much time because I could talk on and on and on about DEI. It's my passion. I love it. And I'm excited to be your facilitator. But first, let me just give you a little taste of the things that you will learn in your path, whether you go through the CDP or whether you go through the CDE. But some of the things in the CDP is like the business case. You want to learn about the business case. If you're starting this journey, or maybe you're in this journey and you need to make an impact with your C-suite team, you need to make the business case. That's the bottom line. Some of you may be in HR, some of you may not be in HR, some of you just want to know more about the EEO laws and US abroad, diversity recruiting, engagement. All of these things are designed to create a more inclusive work environment and contribute to a more equitable society. Whether you're leading people, leading projects, or you just come with a curiosity to learn more so you can have those inclusive conversations, you need the competencies and the skills to do all of those things. And the classes are really informal. We go through the information. You have an opportunity to ask questions. When I facilitate, even if it's after the session and you just have some ideas and you need some type of path or some information to go to your senior team or your supervisor, you know, how do you approach that? We talk about the elevator pitch. What is your elevator pitch? We talk about the global best practices. We talk about race, power, and privilege. All of these things that Leah stated, you could probably Google, or you can get a certificate. We dive really deep into the details. Learning about the small scale of DE&I and running a large scale of DE&I efforts. If you don't have the competencies to do that, it probably won't work out too well. And so we want to give you the tools. We want to give you the skills and the knowledge that you need. And at the end, you have this fabulous opportunity to develop a project, and we will help you if you need assistance that you can use in your workplace, or you can use, maybe you're a consultant and you want to be able to go out and facilitate these discussions or help an organization develop strategies. We're going to make sure that you have the competencies and skills to do that. And when you sit for the exam, I know I have probably 4 certifications and trying to keep up with the CEUs have been challenging. It's that knowledge is designed to make sure that you have learned what you needed to learn and the competencies that is broken down through each of the modules each day. So let me just close that DE&I certification is important not only for personal or professional growth, but it's always for the success of the organizations. And those companies that embrace diversity, equity, inclusion are going to be here a while. As Leah said, someone says that diversity is dead. Don't believe that. It is well alive. Don't believe that. But people fear what they don't understand. And so those who are in practitioners of DE&I, those are our roles to help people increase their productivity, help people in organization to increase innovation, and help solve those problems to make our society a better place. So that's all I have. I'm excited. I can't wait to meet you in one of the sessions. And I'm going to turn it back over to Regina.
So I think I'm going to join you on the screen along with Leah. We can get Leah up. Thank you. Thank you, Taheti. Thank you, Leah. So we encourage any of you out there who have questions, please drop them in the Q&A. The question about the recording, I believe we will be able to get the recording out to you if you might have missed something at the beginning. But Leah, Taheti, you both mentioned that we've got different types of certification available, the Certified Diversity Professional and Executive. Can you just talk a little bit about the difference between the two?
Sure. I can jump in here and Taheti can add some flavor to my conversation. The main difference between the Certified Diversity Professional and Certified Diversity Executive is that the CDP serves as the foundation. So it helps you to build on a proper foundation for DEI work. And that means that you have a strong understanding of what the business case is, and you can communicate that. And a lot of people will say, hey, the business case for DEI is dead. Again, that's another one of those rumors that are out there. Don't listen to those, those people. Whenever you have a use of financial resources in a business, there has to be a justification. So you need to have a business case, and we show you the proper way to design that business case for your organization. What worked at one organization may not necessarily work in another organization, right? We also show best practices in terms of diversity recruiting, diversity training, forming resource groups, making it so that you can include all sorts of different identities, and also design a strategic diversity plan that is equipped with measurement criteria. The CDE picks up in the middle. So it assumes that you have all the foundational knowledge, and it allows you to make it so that you can design a complex or large scale diversity, equity, and inclusion effort. It may even include doing global work. Both programs are global in scope. So you'll learn about DEI in Canada and Mexico and in France and the UK, as well as in China and in Uganda, all sorts of different countries, right? So you'll be able to operate on an international scale. But most importantly, you'll learn about more complex issues dealing with race, power, and privilege. Certainly, we don't lead with race in the CDP program because usually when people think about DEI, they do it from the perspective of DEI being solely about race, right? And certainly race is very complex. And as an effective DEI leader, you don't want to bring race into the forefront until your employees are adequately prepared to address that. What does that mean? It means that they're going to have the ability to be emotionally intelligent. They're going to be able to have empathy skills. They're going to have all these different things in place before you get to a more complex and emotional topic, right? You're going to make it so that you're also accounting for things like privilege and power, the power structure, and understanding that race is a social construct, just like apartheid or even the caste system in India. So just being able to make all those connections is going to be important. As you're looking at DEI, we're going to talk about getting your CEO on board and making it so that you can provide resources and support for your mid-level managers as well, and that you can connect and integrate DEI with all of your operations, including innovation, research and development, supplier diversity, and all sorts of other areas. So it's pretty broad-based, but it's like the 50,000-foot high view of DEI. Taheti?
Yeah, that summed it up. And if you're wondering where you need to land on which one you need to select, I tell possible candidates when they're going into this program, if you're already knowledgeable, even if you're at the C-suite team, but you're already knowledgeable, then go for the CDE. But if you need that foundation, just at the beginning, information, a lot of data, a lot of connecting the dots before you state that, hey, I'm ready to do the CDE, because CDE is broad. It's broad, but it still have the details, but the CDP is the one that I think most people need the foundation. If they have not dived deeply into DE&I, both of them are great, because I facilitated both. They have great information. You'll learn a lot. We point you to best practice. We point you to data. This is not something that we made up, even though some of us will bring our own perspective from our organization. But as Leah stated, it's not one size fit all. It's really based on where your organization is on that journey, or if they're starting from scratch, or if they're in the middle, where they are, because it's not a destination, it's always a journey. So you can't go wrong with either one you select.
So I know we've got both of the certifications beginning in June. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of the length of the engagement? What's the commitment that someone is making when they sign up? We can talk about the price, but I think another element is really what's someone getting themselves into. We know this is important work. We don't want them to take it lightly. So there is a commitment involved. So walk through, not so much the details of the curriculum, but what's the engagement look like, and how many levels of exams and assessments along the way, things like that.
Right. So that's a really good question. Most people think that this is like taking a course, like a certificate course. And this is not a typical certificate course. It is certification. So I like for people to be clear about what you're getting into. So as Taheti has referenced several times, you do take a deep dive. So each of these sessions, you will dive into, one topic at a time. You will engage in conversations. We like to engage in what we call peer learning. So that means that we'll ask questions, we'll want to find out what you know, and if necessary, redirect you. And then you'll have a study guide or a chapter competency that you will read. You will have sample test questions or practice quiz questions in the learning management system. And you may have videos that you can watch, as well as other resources that you can take a look at as you were looking at each competencies. There's 16 competencies altogether. And we do take our time with each one of those competencies. At the end of the prep course that Taheti will facilitate, you will have the ability to submit what we call a professional work or a candidate project. And the candidate project is basically demonstrating that you have the ability to do the work. So the assessment process is two-part. The assessment consists of a knowledge exam, which is 100 questions, all multiple choice. And they not only test your knowledge of certain terms, best practices and strategies, but also different scenarios that you may face when you are doing the work. The second portion that is tested is your ability to do the work, which is through that peer review. And that's where you submit a professional work, such as a business case or a strategic diversity plan, or even a business plan if you're starting off a new consulting enterprise. And it will be reviewed by a subject matter expert in DEI, who will provide you with feedback like, this is going to work, this is going to be successful, great work, great job. Or they will say, hey, you know what, here's what you need to do to improve this, and then you will have to resubmit it. You have to pass both portions in order for you to be certified, the knowledge exam and the peer review of your professional work submission. You will have 1 year to complete the assessment process. And that 1 year includes the time that you will take the prep course. But the prep course is designed to help you think about the application. How can you put this into practice, right? If you can get putting it into practice, taking that knowledge exam will become easier. Again, it is a standardized test. So just like all other standardized tests, it is rigorous. It is not a quiz. And again, if you have taken some other certificate programs, they do not do their program like certainly our program is. We follow best practices for professional certification programs. So therefore, we do have professional standards associated with the work. And again, there is a time commitment where you will have to read. We want you to connect with your peers, people who are currently CDPs and CDEs. Certainly, there are a lot of people who do this work and they're like best friends now. I'm like, wow, I love it. But you'll meet people from all over the world, and they will share their experiences, and you will really love being immersed in this work in this way. There is a recertification requirement, as I discussed a little bit earlier, and that is every 3 years, you will have to recertify and demonstrate that you have 60 continuing education credits. And Mercy College also has programs that you can take in a variety of different areas that you will be able to where you will be able to recertify as well. Taheti, did you want to add anything?
Just a little bit around the commitment. The commitment is really, you really have to commit to this work, and because it's a lot of information and we want you to be successful. So during a facilitating class, as Leah stated, that the group, there's knowledge in the group. So you have an opportunity to share your feedback. And then after the class, before the next class, always open it, was there something that you thought about last night that you need clarity on? do we need to revisit a small piece if time is available to go back? We're not just going to rush through the process. There's always a connection. We have a LinkedIn community that's very robust, and people are always sharing think tanks and information. So we're not just throwing you out there while you're learning and after you're learning. That's just not feasible for us because we have a passion for this. And so we're giving 100% commitment as well. So don't be afraid to dive in. It is going to feel like you're drinking from a water hydrant, but at the end of the day, you will be knowledgeable of all things DE&I.
Right. Can you just address for someone taking the CDP or CDE respectively, you said there's a year, they'll have a year with which they need to sit for the exam, but the actual course itself, how many weeks is that?
I believe it's
8 weeks.
Thank you.
8 weeks.
Yes.
8 weeks.
Can you talk a little bit about the experience someone might have if they're coming with a couple of colleagues, a couple of peers from their organization, as opposed to the person who's the sort of sole rep from their organization, or the person who's coming on their own and is looking to make a career move, maybe in another direction?
Right. So that's a great question. For your organization's sake, we really recommend that you do have more than one person go through the program. And the reason why, certainly if it's just one, great, but CDPs and CDEs are in high demand. Certainly, what does that mean, Leah? It means that because the CDE is industry recognized, some organizations, they swear by the credentialing process that IDC has designed. And one of the things that they like to do is make sure that they hire people who have the credentials. For instance, there was a young lady, she had a problem at her organization, and she wanted to work for Mercedes-Benz. And when she went there, they already had a cohort of people that had gone through the program, and they hired her because she already had the credentials. A lot of organizations are like that. We have people at almost every organization you can imagine, from the insurance organizations, Humana, American Family Insurance, to Amazon, to Pfizer, to Washington State. A lot of the top organizations, almost every federal government agency, a lot of the top organizations have certified individuals. So the network is immense. And again, when it comes to hiring, organizations know what they're going to get when they hire a CDP or CDE. With that being said, certainly sometimes when a person goes to the program, they do get another job, right? And certainly having that knowledge leave the organization kind of starts the organization back to square one, right? So it's better when you can have 2 or 3 people or 4 people go through the certification program, just so that they can, just so that in the event that someone leaves, you will have bench strength. You will have the ability for additional people to carry on the work. And again, that's why a lot of organizations have transitioned to getting more than one person certified, because they do recognize the value of not just having someone take a random course, which again, there's value to taking a course, but certification again affirms that you not only have the knowledge, but you have the skill and you have the network and support to get the work done.
So we've, Taheti, we've heard your passion come through very clearly. Wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of your colleagues, or if Leah, you can, some of the other folks who serve as instructors in this program. What are their backgrounds? What is it that is guiding someone, leading someone towards becoming an instructor in your programs?
So we have facilitators that are from universities, college level, that sit on the C-suite team, that they are supervisors, leaders from all industry. As Leah stated earlier, they're from nonprofit, for-profit, government entities, large organizations. I serve leading DE&I from one of the largest nonprofit organizations here in Mississippi. So I think there's value in gaining the knowledge that you need to lead the DE&I effort. Let me just say that there is enough work to be done in the DE&I spectrum, right? There is plenty of work to be done. So don't feel like that the road is narrow and you don't have an opportunity to move from one road or one highway to the other. That network is very, very large. Our facilitators have done the work. Some of our facilitators is doing the work. So it's not like that we have taken the certification or we have the knowledge, but we have not applied practical skills or application towards that.
Great. One more question, and I think this will be a good way to wrap up. If someone came to you and said, I really want to do this, and I really need to convince my boss or the company that this is something that we should invest in, what's the one line or two lines you would give them to take back to their supervisor, to their CEO if necessary, to say why having someone in the organization with this level of certification is a must for a company to be successful as we move forward in the 21st century?
I personally think that building an inclusive work environment leads to engaging, and engaging workforce lead to productivity and innovation. If you don't see me or value me, I'm not going to give you 100%. And so there's value in understanding how DE&I tied to the bottom line. I know that's a lot. It's not a one-liner, but
that's I think the type of argument we're looking for. Leah, any last words that you would share with the folks?
Yes, most definitely. So DEI certification is going to save the organization time and money. Time in terms of the amount of time that it takes to get things up and running and to see viable results, and money in terms of making it so that you can avoid costly mistakes, such as lawsuits, PR nightmares, and other issues related to not being prepared with a sustainable strategy for the future. This next generation is very, very different than previous generations. And if your organization is not prepared to operate effectively, you will not be relevant. And that relevance is totally necessary as we look towards the future workplace and marketplace.
So before we sign off, one last question came through the Q&A. These courses offered synchronously or asynchronously?
Both.
So,
yes.
All right, thank you. I really want to thank you guys for sharing not only your expertise, but your excitement, your passion for this work. It demonstrates exactly what we value out of this partnership. Just like you were saying, anyone can go and find some opportunities to learn on their own. That's true. We don't want to put just any program up there under our brand and with our seal of approval. We want to work with the best. So we're really pleased that you guys are partners with us in this endeavor, that we don't need to really reinvent the wheel, as it were. We can turn to trusted partners who are constantly understanding the changing landscape in the workplace and the economy, and being able to bring that expertise, that passion to the curriculum, to the course materials, to the conversations that are going on in the classes. So we're really excited about furthering this partnership. Those of you who are on the webinar, if you have further questions, you can send us an email, you can visit us online, and you will certainly be hearing from us. So thank you all for your participation, and really have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.